Hey guys, so today's video is just all about my Disney College program, which was for Disneyland in the spring 2020 term. I know most of you probably already know what happened, which is that we technically all got termed due to the coronavirus. But I just kind of wanted to go into detail a little bit more and address everything that happened just because I have friends and family that have been asking, and just a lot of people have been asking about exactly what happened. So I thought I'd just tell everyone here. So it kind of all started when the coronavirus was getting into the United States, and Disney and several other places had started closing down their businesses. That was kind of the beginning of it. I remember the day that there were rumors going around that Disneyland was going to close. It was actually raining, and I just remember all of us cast members were panicking because our thought was, okay, if they close, like, at least we'll get time off work, but the main concern was, are they going to pay us or not? Like, how are especially college program kids going to be able to afford to live in their housing where they take payments out of our weekly checks if we're not getting paid because we don't work for 2 weeks? So that was kind of our biggest concern, and honestly, we didn't even think that we were gonna get kicked out of housing. So that was kind of when it all started. I remember we found out that they were for sure closing for 2 weeks, and they didn't tell us if we were getting paid or not, and that's just for anybody, like any general cast members. We found out that Disneyland was closing actually through the media. Like, we saw it on the news before we were even told. Like, I remember being in the break room on lunch and we saw it on the news before we were even told by our managers. And that's, just any cast member in general in Disneyland. And then shortly after Disneyland got the announcement that they were going to be closed for 2 weeks, Disney World in Florida also did the same thing. So there was a couple of days that we had to go into work. I think it was one more day. They announced that they were closing, and there was one more day of work left before that closure went into effect. So we all came to work the next day, and everybody was talking about okay, are we gonna get paid? What's going on with that? And then we found out, okay, we're gonna get paid until the end of the month. That was for everybody, full-time, part-timers, and college program kids, and that was for Disneyland and Disney World. So that was kind of a relief. A lot of us had talked about going home for 2 weeks to, visit our family and then come back when everything calms down. There was actually a couple of people that did go home, which it sucks, and you'll realize why when I get to the end of this, but they flew home when we found out we were going to be closed for 2 weeks, and then a couple of days later, after we were all home because the parks were closed, the college program decided that they were going to be suspending the rest of the program, which basically means being canceled or being termed, whatever you want to call it. And I remember the day that it happened, we found out that Disney World was doing it first, and that's when we really started to panic because we thought if Disney World is doing it, they're going to do it to us here, especially because the coronavirus was worse in California at that time. So we all kind of were really, really, really nervous. I remember it was 3 or 4 hours that we were all waiting. And in Carnegie, which is where we all lived, the apartment complex, we're all in a group a group text. So we were all talking to each other. Everyone was home, and someone had mentioned, okay, Claudia, who's the director of the program, Claudia was in a meeting, and we were told, okay, we're going to get an email within the next couple of hours on what is going to happen. So as you can imagine, there's 300 of us there, all in the same building. Everyone was home. Everyone was panicking and freaking out. And there were people that had even gone home that were thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to do if I have to go all the way back out there just to then bring all my stuff back home? And it was just a mess. So we finally got the email that said that they were suspending the program and that we would have to have all of our belongings out by March 18th. And this was on March 14th, I believe, at about in between, I think it was 2 o'clock, but I'm gonna say in between 1 and 3 just to be safe. So we had 4 days to pack our stuff, be out of housing, figure out where we're gonna go. I mean, a lot of people on the program had flown in from their hometowns, so they didn't have a car, and they had to figure out, how am I gonna get home if airlines are shutting down? I don't want to be traveling if there's people with the virus that are going in and out of airports. So, I mean, people were concerned about that as well, just being more exposed to the virus because of having to travel. And then not only that, but the people that had flown, you know, they had to fit everything that they bought into one suitcase. A lot of people, they had driven out there from like their home, and their parents had come with them and helped them move their stuff. And, you know, by the end of the program, that was the plan for when they were going to leave. They were going to have their parents or someone with a car come and help them pack all of their stuff and then take it back home. But for people that didn't have a car, they had to somehow figure out how to get all of their stuff off of property within 4 days. And a lot of people, their parents were able to come and help them, but there were other people that didn't have cars that they had to figure out what to do. And I'll actually post a picture in this video. I took pictures and videos of how much stuff people had to leave behind, and it's so sad.
You gotta throw it out and get it clean. Yeah. Okay.
It's sad because people not only spent all the money on this stuff, but it's like everything else that we were going through with being upset about the program ending. We lost our job, we lost our house, we were losing our roommates and our friends. You know, we thought we were gonna have another 5 months with these people working this job. And then on top of that, all this other stuff, like the worry about being exposed to the virus. We may have already been exposed to it at Disneyland and we didn't know. And then having to worry about finding a way home, having to fit all your stuff in your car or your suitcase, and then prioritizing what you can take and what you can leave behind, and just the amount of money that was wasted. I remember specifically when we got the email, me and all of my roommates were home and we were all waiting for it. We were all anxious. Like, me and 3 of the other girls basically didn't get out of bed the whole day because we were just so nervous. And I remember we got the email and all 5 of us pretty much went in separate rooms, and we all kind of like had a breakdown and we cried. I mean, for me, I didn't cry immediately because I was in shock. And I was trying to figure out, okay, like, let's be rational about this. And I was thinking, I have 4 days to find an apartment here in California because I wanted to stay. And then I was thinking I'm gonna have to find another job so that I can pay for rent while I'm here. You know, luckily now I'm at my mom's house in Arizona, and she, you know, was willing to let me stay here with her. But me and then a lot of other people that were there didn't have homes to go back to. I was coming from Florida where I was signed off of a lease. So I didn't have anywhere to go back to. There's people that are on the program that are 30, 40, and 50, like in their 50s. And these people, you know, were planning to be there like all of us for the full 7 months. So we didn't have plans or backups. You know, not everyone has parents' houses to go back home to. So it was just really stressful with that in itself. And I remember, you know, hearing people were crying in the hallway when the email went out, and people started packing and started, you know, moving their stuff down into the car immediately. There was people that left the first night. There was people that had just put their stuff in their car and they took off the first night. There was people that stayed the whole 4 days. There was actually an apartment up in 516 that they had a party pretty much every night that we had left there because, you know, everyone was just sad. I mean, we had made friends, like lifelong friends on this program that we thought we were gonna have another 5 months with, and we had all these plans, specifically me and my roommates, like we were gonna go places and do things, and like we only got to go out like one night, I think, or 2 nights, and we didn't even have like a park day where we all went together, just because when we first moved there, we had other priorities and we thought we were gonna have so much time. So I think that was the hardest part for me, was just dealing with not being around those girls anymore, because I was so happy there. I really, really liked the group of girls that I was with and the group of friends that I made in my department where I worked at, like my role. I had a lot of friends that lived down the hall from me, and it was just sad knowing that it wasn't going to be like that anymore. You know, whatever we did, even if we could somehow come back and work as part-timers or do another program, it was never going to be like that again, where we're all going to be, you know, in the same room or on the same floor. And it was just honestly sad. I mean, I was devastated when I thought about that, and I realized just, you know, that I had 4 days left with my friends. I think that was the hardest part for me. But it was also sad to think about the amount of opportunities that we didn't get to do. I mean, I only got to do 3 classes, 3 of the education classes, and we had things scheduled, you know, every single week for the next however many weeks that we were going to be there. Things that we were looking forward to, like backstage tours and the studio tour and getting the professional headshots. Like, everyone was so excited about getting the professional headshots done in front of the castle, or, you know, being able to do like the mid-program celebration or the end of program celebration where you have your graduation and they do a whole ceremony. We didn't get to do any of that. So it was just really sad. I mean, for me, since we were all home, we didn't even get to say goodbye to the coworkers that we had made friends with that were regular cast members, because we didn't go back to work after that. So we didn't get to say goodbye to anyone, and it was just a really, really hard couple of days. I don't think that Disney handled it incorrectly, because, and you know, a lot of people have mixed feelings about it. A lot of people that were on the program are really upset about it, and I can understand that. I mean, we were all devastated, but I don't think anyone can blame Disney. I mean, they were doing it for our safety. Like, anybody that works at Disney knows that safety is the first key, like in the 4 keys working for the company. So everyone needs to understand that they did it for our safety, even though, yeah, it sucks. The world, like our generation, we have not been through something like this. So, you know, everybody was saying, oh, Disney won't close down. They'll be the last ones to close down. You know, they just worry about their money and they won't close down. But I mean, you got to understand, nothing like this has ever happened before. So obviously there's going to be a different response because we weren't prepared for it. The whole world wasn't prepared for it, honestly. I mean, that's why it's gotten out of control so bad. But I just want to say, like, I don't think that Disney handled it badly. I think that they could have given us more time for sure, to kind of get our stuff situated and give us more of a warning, or given us more time just to, you know, pack our stuff and have plans so that, you know, people wouldn't be left like stranded that didn't have anywhere to go. But they wanted to get us out as quickly as possible, you know, and they had also, I'm sure, were worried about if there were going to be travel restrictions, like travel bans, and I'm sure they didn't want us getting stuck in California if that wasn't our home. Like, that I think would have been the worst case scenario. So I do think that they did, like, they made the right decision. Unfortunately, it just sucks that this was during my program, because we had to go through that and we had to suffer the consequences of it, even though it's no one's fault. But so they have said that there's possibilities that we can go back for another college program. They've actually said that we're going to be at the top of the list for consideration. But for me personally, I don't think I'm going to try and do another program. I actually applied for Disneyland as soon as we found out that we were getting termed, because I wanted to stay in California, and that's 100% my plan to go back after all of this kind of settles down. That's my cat getting up on the table. There we go, that's better. Sorry. I did get an interview, and I did get put on the wait list for 3 different roles that are within Disneyland. So we were told, you know, once the parks open again and once they can start taking more people in, I'll get the call and I will have a job once they open. I mean, they're gonna be extremely understaffed when they do reopen because they just lost 300 plus cast members on the college program. So I'm not worried about that. I think right now it's just kind of, we're all in a waiting game. For me personally, it was difficult because all of my roommates left before I did. I was the last one in my apartment, which had 5 of us in total for the last night. So that was hard. I think that the hardest part, like I said, was not being around my friends anymore and seeing things slowly be taken out of the apartment was sad. And then the day that I left, the morning that we had to be out, seeing the apartment completely empty again, especially being by myself at that point, I definitely cried when that happened. That was honestly probably one of the hardest days of my life, just because I was so happy there. Like I don't know if I've ever been that happy, honestly. And I know that's a lot to say, but I mean, just everything was going right in my life. Like my health problems were getting better. I was really, really happy with my job. And I've worked over like 5 or 6 different roles within the Disney company. And the role that I was at Disneyland was like the best by far, like the happiest I've ever been. I loved my job. I loved my coworkers. I loved my friends. I love where we live. Like Carnegie Plaza, having the farmers market like basically right outside your door, and it was just so nice. And so I think that was the hardest part for me, was just seeing the apartment empty, you know, and all of my roommates and my friends were gone, and it was just me that was there at the end on the last day. That was probably the hardest thing. So I've just been trying to focus on the future of things. You know, like everyone says, this whole coronavirus thing is just temporary. So I've just been trying to stay positive about everything, and just, you know, I know that I will have my job back once they do reopen. It's just a matter of when. So yeah, I mean, I just, it sucks and I'm sad, and I still haven't even fully processed it, to be honest. Like, I was in shock for a while, and I still think I am, because like I'm just, you know, I feel like staying at my mom's house, I feel like I'm on vacation here. Like I'm just waiting to go back, and like everything's gonna go back to how it used to be. So that's gonna be an adjustment, but we'll see how it goes. If you have any questions on anything about what happened in the situation, or if you want to hear about anything else that happened, feel free to let me know in the comments. I'm gonna do more videos about the Disney College program in general and just my experience with it, just to kind of give others information and just to talk about my experience, because I did have such a good time there, even though it was cut short. So yeah, I mean, but that was my story, and that was my experience, and I appreciate you listening if you've listened to the whole thing. And I just wanted to end that on a good note, you know, that like I said, I don't think Disney made the wrong decision, and I still had a really, really, really good experience overall. So yeah, if you want to see more videos, just make sure that you subscribe so that you can be updated, especially when this quarantine is going on. I'm going to be trying to make a lot of videos. So yeah, just make sure you subscribe and turn on your notifications so that way you can see videos as soon as I post them. And let me know if there's anything that you guys want to hear about, or if you have questions for anything.